Hello and welcome to the Connected Coast annual report for 2023. My name's Chris Barron and I'm the chair of the Connected Coast Town Board that looks after the town funds deals for both Mablethorpe and Skegness. It's a great time to be doing this presentation as the projects in Mablethorpe are starting to come to fruition. As we go through the presentation, you'll see that many of them are already well out of the ground and very close to being handed over. As I'm sure most of you are aware, Mablethorpe was very successful in the bids for the town funds and secured £23.9 million, which the Connected Fund Board has tried to ensure that we maximise the benefit of. And our key criteria was going to be, did it help to produce a healthy community, an enterprising community, a resilient community, a balanced community, and a connected community? And we've looked along the coast when we've looked at these bids and worked very closely with what Skegness is doing as well to ensure we get maximum value out of all of the projects we try and deliver. And we don't have duplication, but we gain synergies from the project. And I believe we're really starting to see that to come to fruition. And as we talk about project, we realize, well, we could do this if we do that with that project just to get more benefit for them. And when we were looking at Mablethorpe, the area wasn't just to cover Mablethorpe itself, it was covered Mablethorpe all the way down to Sutton-on-Sea. And as you'll see later on, there are a couple of projects that get to the southern end of the area with the colonnades and the National Trust project going on. But working with Skegness, we've delivered with matched funding nearly £80 million worth of funding into the area. That's something that we would never have believed possible 2 to 3 years ago. The reason that we put this slide in is just to show how important it was that we were connected in as many different ways as possible. And although Mablethorpe has some great projects going on, Skegness does as well with its learning campus, town centre transformation, multi-user trail. And there is a lot of interconnectivity between these, not just physically, but between the skills and enterprise. So with the leisure and learning hub, we'll hopefully have tie-ups with the new college going into Skegness. The colonnades at Sutton-on-Sea is another reason why people holidaying in Skegness should come further down the coast. So we are really demonstrating how we can make the coast an entity in itself. The investment we show here is 23.9 million, spread between 2021 and 2026. There's quite a lot of upfront spend, and that's because sometimes projects, before they even start to get out of the ground, need funding to ensure that they can meet all the criteria and the planning before we start building them. And that's similar with the High Street project. Some of that money has had to be spent so that Heritage Lincolnshire have the funds available for smaller businesses to draw down very early on in their project cycle. Progress to date since our last presentation. In December 2022, we signed the contract with Lindham Group for the construction of the Campus for Future Living, the biggest project that we are delivering in Mablethorpe. In January 23, we achieved even more success with East Lindsey District Council securing an additional £8 million of funding in levelling up. An opportunity I don't think that would have been available if we hadn't proven how well we were working as a team on the town funds deals. In February 2023, we broke ground on the new Campus for Future Living, and that was a great feeling to be there to actually see a project starting. We've talked about them for a long while. A lot of planning has gone into them, but the most important thing was to get contractors on the ground so the local residents could really believe this was going to happen and things were changing. And not only did we have that, but a couple of weeks later, contractors then moved in to create the new Station Leisure and Learning Centre, 2 major projects in Mablethorpe, both starting in 1 month. In March 2023, we held an event to mark the granting of detailed planning consent for the new colonnades and pleasure gardens development. And it's disappointing that we're not as far on with that as we wanted to be at this stage. But we have to work very closely with EA. We're all very aware of the flood risk we have on the coast. So we needed to make sure that was all covered and the permits were in place. But work has started there now, which is great to see. In June, National Trust were in a position to submit their planning application for the new visitor hub at Sandylands. Again, proof that things are moving forward. In July, the first phase of work for the colonnades and pleasure gardens was approved by East Lindsey District Council. Despite all the challenges that inflation and the financial problems that the country has seen over the last couple of years, we were able to get to a position where we could actually press the button for this project to start. And hopefully you've seen now that contractors are there in Sutton and the Colonnades project is happening and will start to come out of the ground in the next few months. Moving forward, the Campus for Future Living is no doubt the biggest project we are delivering in Mablethorpe. And it's not just a big project for Mablethorpe or Lincolnshire, and it's an exemplar for the whole country. And it's actually created interest internationally, not just nationally. The project is moving along very well. We have a great relationship with our local contractor in Lindham. And a really exciting part of this project is it's not just being built in isolation. We're encouraging young people to be involved, to see what's happening in their area, to grow aspirations of what can be achieved, to encourage careers in construction, but also hopefully to make them reconsider the health service as opportunities that can be gained locally. This project will also have residential accommodation. So people who are doing training, maybe at Lincoln University or Nottingham University, can spend some time at the coast and understand the distinct problems that can happen with health with our ageing population here. So this will hopefully to encourage a far healthier community and bring lots of different people together to create a project that will be something that Mablethorpe can be really proud of. As with most projects, it has turned out to be more expensive than we expected, but we have managed to secure all the funding that we needed. £8.6 million in town funds investment, a further £1.2 million in matched funding. The project will be handed over in February, March 2024. That will not be finished. That will need an internal fit out, which will then be driven by the people who will be using the building themselves. So we know it is right for them, because we don't want to have to go back and do the work twice. This is ticking so many boxes for what we wanted: supporting a healthy community, a balanced community, an enterprising community, has some great training facilities in it, has conference space, so people can come to Mablethorpe for meetings and ensure that Mablethorpe is on people's agenda for when they're considering where to invest. It is a building, I am absolutely certain, having been round it a couple of times, is one that you can be really proud of in Mablethorpe. We're working very hard with Nottingham University, Care for Research Centre, pharmacy, healthcare, etc., to ensure that they're all aware of the opportunities that this building can offer. I'm particularly grateful to Professor Gussie for all the work he's doing in leading this and actually getting government to realise that it's not just about rural health that we need to look, but coastal is now part of the agenda for rural and coastal health. And this will drive important initiatives for health. And Mablethorpe will hopefully be at the forefront of being able to utilise some of those, but while also creating jobs and training opportunities for local people. The Station Leisure and Learning Centre. I'm sure people in Mablethorpe 3 or 4 years ago would never believe, although I believe there's been lots of campaigning for it, that they would actually get a swimming pool. As you can see from the picture, the 4-lane swimming pool is already in place. It has been water tested. It is being built. It's a magnificent building that will not only provide important leisure facilities for the local community, it will also provide, again, training opportunities. Hopefully it can work in partnership with the new tech college in Skegness. So people will have training facilities on their doorstep to maximise the use of digital education and digital businesses as well. And we're expecting this building to be up and running by the middle of 2024, so people will be able to use it. And thanks to everybody involved, particularly the contractors, they've been able to manage this with very little disruption. I think in total that there will be no offer at all for only 13 weeks for this major construction project. Again, another very expensive project with £7.5 million worth of town funds investment. It has been hit hard by inflationary problems, but the East Lincolnshire District Council have been very supportive of making sure this project happens. And we now have match funding of £7.7 million to ensure that it delivers all that we wanted it to do. We're expecting over 240,000 people to participate in health, sports and leisure here. And it's ticking those boxes about a healthy community, a balanced community, and it also provides an additional facility for those people who come on holiday to Mablethorpe. In those very rare days when it might rain, they now have a swimming pool they can use as well. So this is a great addition to what is happening in Mablethorpe, and actually is very close to the Campus of Future Living, so they can share training opportunities as well. Just down the road in Sutton-on-Sea, we have the Colonnades and Pleasure Gardens project, where work is now underway, and it's delivering what I believe is a beautiful building that shows what can be achieved in the 21st century. What was there originally was a great asset in the 40s and 50s. I used to enjoy it as a child in the 60s, but we have to move forward. And I think this project will do that in delivering a great building to look at, but also a state-of-the-art pavilion, including a cafe and restaurant, exhibition space, new beach huts, which will be included. And also, very importantly, we've integrated a changing places toilet facility into this building, which as a board, we've tried to do in as many projects as possible, because accessibility is something that we're always looking at. And this will mean that Sutton-on-Sea now has easy accessibility for whatever needs people have. It was also important that landscaping around this area met with the criteria of being by the sea, but also created a beautiful area for people to sit and rest, and to create pop-up events and markets. And I'm sure this facility will be a real game changer for what's been happening in Sutton. It's not cheap by any means. It's cost us over £4.2 million in town funds. And again, East Lindsey District Council has stood up and said, we want this project to happen, and added additional funds. So now we have £3.3 million worth of matched funding going into this project. But it has started, and it is going to support a resilient community aim that we had, but also create a reason for people to visit Sutton-on-Sea and make an even more successful seaside resort. We also have the town centre transformation and Mablethorpe project. We want to make the high street in Mablethorpe to look like it's a place that is loved. And to do that, we're prepared to invest up to 90% in transforming shop fronts so they reflect the heritage of the town. And several businesses are now looking at this, and hopefully, as they see the investment coming in, more and more people want to take us up on this. We're certainly seeing success with it in Skegness, and this will be happening in Mablethorpe during 2024. We're also working very hard on the Moby Hub project for a facility in the heart of town that's designed to make it easier for people to travel around, connect with other places, but also to create it a nicer place to walk around in Mablethorpe itself. And if you're interested in finding out more about this, please contact Heritage Lincolnshire, and they will be able to give you all the details you need to access funding for developing your shop fronts. So in total, the town funds investment into these two projects of the Moby Hub and the town centre is £1.58 million, with £230,000 worth of match funding. We hope this funding will help up to 35 businesses secure funding to improve their shop front, and also encourage other businesses to invest, to create a retail area where people want to be and want to dwell, and again change the feel of Mablethorpe for a 21st century seaside resort. Another exciting project is bringing Sandylands back into use. As most of you will know, the golf course closed down there a few years ago, and thanks to the National Trust and their willingness to invest to create a nature reserve there, work has already started with a temporary cafe going in there, but it would create a great area for people to be able to wander around to help with mental and physical health. There'll be community space there, and again, a changing places facility, so helping with accessibility, areas to cycle. And it just creates another great area in that link between Chapel and Sutton to encourage people to visit. This project is taking £2 million worth of town funds, but National Trust are being able to secure another £4.3 million to ensure this project is delivered, and it will create 7 full-time jobs, but also a lot more visitors to the whole area. As I've said previously, one thing that we were very confident of when we secured the town funds deal is that if we proved that we could do this successfully, further funding would become available. And this is proven by the Levelling Up funding. In January 2023, it was announced that East Lindsey had secured another £8 million in Levelling Up funding, and this will go towards securing 3 major projects just inland from the coast. One, the Alford Windmill, which will have accommodation upgraded. The cafe area will be brought up to spec as well. The Alford Manor House, beautiful building in Alford, but currently supplies a lot of its catering through a marquee, which is not suitable for the long term. So we're putting in a new venue for that, which will fit with the current environment, but make the Alford Manor House sustainable for the future and give it a good income flow, great function space. And as the picture shows here, what we call the Spilsby Theatre or the Old Sessions House, beautiful building in Spilsby, but has not had the investment it deserves and is looking very sorry for itself. And thanks to the great work of the individual committees for these buildings who have put in the funding bids for them and are prepared to work hard in delivering these projects, we've been able to secure funding to ensure that they can be brought up and create great assets for their individual town and our local area. As you could see from this slide, the bulk of the funding will be going to the Spilsby Sessions House, but if any of you have seen the building, you will understand why. It really does need a lot of investment to get it to be structurally safe again, but £4.9 million will make a major difference to them. £2 million for the Alford Manor House, £1.1 million for the windmill, but that doesn't include putting the cap back on and the sails. That will be done by the Lincolnshire County Council. So these projects will make a real difference to important buildings in our area. We've also been very successful in achieving prosperity funding as well, with UK Shared Prosperity delivering £4.4 million into our area and £1.7 million of Rural England Prosperity Fund, which will be spent based on three key themes: communities and place, support local business, people and skills. And these projects will be smaller amounts of money, more revenue based, and will be able to impact things even more quickly than the town funds deal. So we look forward to that coming online over the next few months. On this slide, you'll see some examples of where we've already been able to issue funding to various projects to make a real difference. One of the projects we've mentioned earlier, Spilsby Sessions House, this is going to have some additional funding for a revenue base to establish an all-year-round programme of cultural events and talent. Investment in a local visitor attraction supported by the private sector for extending the miniature railway line at Skegness Water Leisure Park with the addition of the Sunset Station. Let's Move East Lindsey, a pilot programme focusing on signposting and communicating more than 150 opportunities for sport and physical activity via a digital platform. These sorts of initiatives are really important. And as you can see, some other examples where funding has already been granted, but this is only a small amount of what is already being achieved by the Shared Prosperity Funds. As I've mentioned previously, for us to be successful, we really needed a strong partnership approach. And I've been so impressed with how people have worked together, particularly the team at East Lindsey District Council that seem to overcome every obstacle that's been put in our way to make sure we deliver on what we promised we would do. But also people like the National Trust, University of Lincoln, Magna Vitae, the Heritage Lincolnshire, all working together to get to where we want to be. And finally, I would like to thank all of the board members who give their time freely and provide a wide range of experience and really hold to account these projects to make sure they deliver exactly on what we committed to at the outset and we get value for money. Without all their hard work, none of this would have happened. Thank you all so much for your support so far, and I look forward to working together to improve even further the whole of Mablethorpe and Sutton-on-Sea.